Hey,
I
this
eat
week,
toast every single day.
yeah. This week we have a hard-hitting story about the creation of the toaster.
Yes, it's a great story. You're not going to believe how it happened.
The twists, the turns, the characters.
the toasts.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It's a great story. And if you're like, wow, that sounds like a really bad one, that's okay. We have another episode out today as well on our Patreon. You don't even have to watch this one. You can literally skip to the next episode.
Yeah.
Or if you don't support us, then you have to suffer through this one about toast.
Yeah, you're not getting away. You press play. There's no way to close this
Nowhere to
tab.
go.
Yeah.
No, this week is about the person who invented the toaster, and to me it's really interesting the way that technology was thought of and how ideas that didn't exist before. Yeah. It feels like there's so few ideas that could just be made today.
Yeah. That's actually pretty, yeah, that's pretty, I support that.
So speaking of today, I hope that you went out and voted. Unless you are not a United States citizen, if you listen to us from somewhere else, or if you're
not registered to vote.
Sorry, that started taking an aggressive turn, and I didn't know how to get out of it.
I got stuck.
No, I was more thinking like if you live in a different country, but then it sounded like I was like, unless you're here and you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, just leave in the comments who you vote. Don't do that. Please don't do that.
Yeah, leave in the comments who you wrote in for.
Please don't do that. Whatever. So today is November 5th. That means next weekend I'm in Virginia, and actually next weekend's a big weekend. I'm in Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. And then the weekend after that, I am in Kansas City and then Texas. So with the church comedy tour with Shama Marema and Mike Goodwin, a really good time. If you haven't bought your tickets yet, I don't expect you to. So why would you? Why would you support what I do?
Where do they go?
Why would you follow my dreams with me? You can go to jaronmyers.com/shows, or they're around here somewhere. You can find a ticket link.
Buy some tickets.
So buy some tickets.
And look, I know you're probably thinking, I don't really want to go see Jaron, but I'm going to go to the Kansas City show. So if you want to see me, I'm not going to be doing anything. But if you want to look at me, you can buy tickets to that show.
Yeah. And Alex will also be there, but we're not going to tell you who he is.
Yeah, you're going to have to guess.
Good luck.
Ask everybody.
Let's get to the episode.
Hey, man.
Hey, who'd you vote for today?
I'm planning on hitting the polls later today.
Later today?
Yeah, can I do that?
I voted early.
Yeah, I didn't.
Like a good citazen.
You can vote whenever you want. As long as you vote, you're a good citizen. It doesn't matter when you vote.
That's not true.
Okay. I'm a good citizen.
Who'd you vote for, though?
Have you heard of Alan MacMasters?
Why don't you tell everyone who you voted for? Let's open this episode. Let's say it together on 3.
Okay, ready? 1, 2. Have you heard of Alan MacMasters?
Alan MacMasters?
Alan MacMasters.
Okay.
It's an MAC. Mac Masters. MAC Masters. MacMasters. We've had a conversation about pronouncing the Macs. Wait, you saying this wrong?
No, I'm saying I've never heard of him.
Oh. What was the rule you told me when we did Ken?
No. It's how you pronounce an MC.
Oh, so the MA doesn't matter.
Yeah, this doesn't matter always at all. That's always Mac.
Okay. Have you heard of...
The rule is, though, if it's MC and the next letter is a vowel, it's Mac and McElroy or, McElroy.
McElroy.
Or, but you wouldn't say McDonald's. You'd say McDonald's.
Interesting.
That's the rule. To rehash it, you've probably listened to that in the other episode we said that. So.
Cool. Alan.
I voted for Jill Stein.
Alan MacMasters. So that reminds me.
If you voted for her, that's not dumb.
Sorry, if that was your pick, it's a good one.
Okay, for real though, the Missouri ballots though.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a total whatever. Did you vote early? I voted early.
I did not.
Okay, so on the ballot, there is a measure. We can actually talk about this and it not be weird. Okay, you're familiar with ranked choice voting?
Yes.
You're pro ranked choice voting?
I don't want to get rid of the option. I don't know if I think it's best. I don't remember what the other version of it I've heard of. I think ranked choice voting I think it's better than what we got.
Right.
There was one I heard recently. I can't remember what it was called. That I was
called
like,
ranked choice voting.
No,
That is
not
the
ranked
right way.
choice. Not ranked choice.
Sure.
There was another one very similar to ranked choice where I was like, oh, I think I like that better than ranked choice, but I can't remember what it was.
But why?
But that's not up
What are
for
the things
an
you don't
option.
like about ranked choice?
It is. Hold on, let me think for a second and make sure I'm not mixing these up. With. I can't remember. There was a reason I had an issue with it.
Okay.
And I can't remember the reason I had an issue with it.
I think that it would give us less extreme candidates.
Yes. Yeah, that's
all up and down the ballot, right?
That's
Of like-
definitely true.
Yeah, because instead of like, if you don't know how ranked choice voting works, I don't think we have the time to break down. You should absolutely go watch a YouTube video about it. But like, don't watch a here's why it's bad. Just watch or here's why it's good. Just watch an explanation
Here's
of
what
what
it
it
is.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
don't try to get an opinion because obviously people are going to try to be like, well, why? And I'll tell you why because if you get ranked choice voting, it does take away a huge power that the parties have because it's, you end up with more options.
Yeah.
And the parties really do not want ranked choice voting to be implemented. And I can tell you that because on the Missouri ballot this year, it's one of the ballot measures of do we want to implement ranked choice voting?
Yeah.
Here's how they described it on the ballot. This is 100%
I did actually
real.
read it through.
Did you see it?
I read through everything to make sure I understood all the pieces. And I remember reading that and being like, this is incredibly misleading.
Yes, because
Yeah.
because you're supposed if you want ranked choice voting, you have to vote no on the measure.
Yeah.
But the measure starts with, do you believe that every vote should be by a U.S. citizen?
Yeah.
And if you vote no to that, they're like, well, you voted no to the city. And you're like, that's not. But if you read
Yeah.
the other paragraphs, they put that in there to goat
Yes.
you into voting yes, to strike down the measure. And it's going to work. It's going to work in Missouri. It's not going to pass because they put that in there.
Yeah, because
the
they
second
made
I
it
saw it, I was like,
misleading.
well, this measure's dead
Yeah.
because unless people went through the effort of researching these opinions of how to vote on this.
That's how that works.
So annoying. And
There's a
they
couple
don't,
of them in there that
the
are
fact that they're allowed to
misleading.
word things like that, the fact
Yeah,
that
it's bonkers.
they spend months rewording and strategically doing crap like that is
Yeah.
what,
I think of that all the time with the bills where it's like you're allowed to just sneak other stuff into bills where it's
Sure.
like you voted for one thing, but now you're also agreeing to another thing. It's like,
and then
why
they
is
use
this?
that in ads against you.
Yeah, it's so absurd.
And that's what I'm saying is like, dude, like, why would the reason we have insane people in politics is because we've made it so that if you're a sane person, it sucks to be in politics.
Yeah.
Why would any sane person look at what they're doing right now
Yeah.
and go, I want to subject myself
I'd like to be a part of that.
that? Anyway, that's
Yeah.
why I get so stressed. That's why I'm radicalized now.
In lighter news, I want to play a quick game before we get too deep into this. This is a new game I'm calling look at this close-up of a sign and try to guess what it is.
Of a website?
No, of a sign.
Sign.
Look at this close-up of a sign and try to guess what the rest of the sign
Okay, we're
is.
talking about
That's
Alan
the name of the sign.
MacMasters.
Yes, we're going to talk about him.
Oh, this is unrelated.
This is unrelated.
You
this
just have
is a
pictures
game.
of close-ups of signs.
Yeah, this is a zoomed-in shot of a
This is
sign.
a mini game.
This is a mini game, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, consider it a mini-sode. So I'm going to show you this really close zoomed shot of a sign. And you're
Let's
going to have
see
to
if I
try to
can tell you
guess
what it is.
what the sign's trying to sign you for. Does that make sense?
Sure.
All right, here we go. Here's the zoom.
Why did you do this?
What are they doing? What are they teaching you? What are they notifying
This
you of?
looks like an emergency pamphlet. So, oh yeah, that he's choking. That's the Heimlich maneuver.
You got it right. It's the Heimlich.
Yeah.
It is the Heimlich in Spanish.
Why
but
did
it
you-
is the Heimlich.
What is this?
This is a poster that tells you how to do the Heimlich in Spanish.
Yeah, I don't want to get that.
And that's a zoom. And this zoom. That girl
Alex, are
is
we
in
on my
color.
face right now?
That-
Can we just sit on my camera for a second?
I just want. Hold on. Go back to the picture.
Why
for a
are
second.
we?
No,
why,
go back to
no,
the picture.
go back to
Look
my
at the
shot.
girl.
Go back to my
Go
angle.
back to the picture.
Go back to my
Go back
angle.
to the
Why?
picture. Back to the picture.
All right. Back to Tim's angle and back to my angle. Why are we doing this in an episode? Why is this something like Tim saw this somewhere and was like, it's really funny. that girl's just hugging that guy from behind.
I'm gonna be honest.
I'll tell you what though, I've gone to church with this couple before. Like during worship, the wife is just you ever been
Yep, that is so rough.
There's always that couple. Rough. He's got his hand in her back pocket.
Yep.
And they're just
Yeah. If you are touching another person during worship, you're doing it wrong. That's my opinion. Okay. That's my personal opinion. It's
no laying hands here.
Yeah.
Why did you
it's
put
very
that
uncomfortable? Oh, I just think it's funny.
You thought that was funny?
I think it's funny for a lot of reasons, but honestly, one of my favorite reasons is she's in color and he's in black and white. And I don't understand.
No, he's pale because he's choking.
Oh, he's asphyxiated.
Yes.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Why, his lips
all the color has left his face and his hair.
Yeah. All right. You should run these bits by me before you just throw them in a show like this.
Okay, Alan MacMasters. Here's a picture of him. This is a guy from like the late 1800s.
Well. Look how pale he is.
1900s.
Look how pale he is. Someone do the Heimlich on that guy.
I'm going to bury the lead on what he did for now. We'll come back to this.
I know what he did. Okay. All right.
Yeah, he was born 1865. He was a Scottish scientist later in his life.
Okay.
But he went to the University of Edinburgh in the fall of 1883, and he studied philosophy. And while I was there, he met a professor by the name of Fleming Jenkin, who connected him to the...
It's pronounced...
I don't think
you.
It took me a second to figure out what. I don't think. Yeah, you're not supposed to say that like that. And then his professor connected him to, I guess it's like the Department of Transportation for Scotland, in Glasgow. Is that how you pronounce that? Glasgow. They were doing the underground, the subway.
Oh, okay.
They call it the underground in Scotland and Europe and the UK and all that. I don't know why.
We call it a subway here because Underground Railroad was already taken. That was an acceptable joke. I hear Alex typing as if it wasn't, but that was an acceptable joke.
Okay. All right. So he gets connected
like that one
underground. He gets connected with the underground.
I'm just here to do bits, dude. That's my whole job is to over here and go, how is this a joke? How is this a joke?
So he got connected to the Glasgow underground.
Which sick band name too.
That's also very sick. And I will say,
that would be like a venue. Yeah, the Glasgow Underground.
I will say,
where metal bands play.
Yeah, that is true, actually. I wanted really bad when I was in high school. I had this dream. Actually, it might have been early college. Me and Isaiah had this dream.
On a skate park.
Nope, close. Isaiah and I shared this dream. This was a dream we had together.
To launch a church together.
No, that was a later dream. But we had a dream to buy a bank, but like not a functional bank, a defunct bank.
But yes,
and open up a music venue in the safe and call it.
But yeah,
no, the safe here is huge.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, and call it the vault.
That's pretty cool.
Dope. And you go through the vault door.
There is a bank. I want to say it's in Iowa that's been converted into a house. I saw on one of those Zillow profiles, one of those cool Zillow finds. There's like Zillow gone wild, and there's like Zillow gone mild, which is just regular houses.
And then there's Zillow gone cool, I guess.
Yeah. But this one was actually pretty sick. It's an old bank that's been converted into a house, and I was like, and then like obviously you're
like define old bank. Like what era are we talking?
Like you ever driven down the Paseo, and there's that Chinese restaurant that's in that small bank?
Yeah.
That bank.
That's the bank on sale? For sale? Oh.
No.
Oh, but it's like that era.
Bank.
Okay.
Yeah, like an 1800s, early 1900s bank.
Like a Bonnie and Clyde?
Sure.
Nice.
Like a bank?
So the underground, he gets connected with them, and he's like late in college.
Down there is not big enough to be a venue, though. You think you can play shows in there?
Yeah, where they put the soccer field?
Oh, you're talking about that vault.
Yeah, not the
there are
meeting room
multiple
vault.
vaults in this building.
Yeah.
That we own.
Yeah. We have to keep all our gold from our patrons there. Our patrons pay in pure gold.
They do.
They ship it.
Yep.
Yep.
And they're really reluctant. That's why we don't have a lot of patrons, because can I just sign up with a credit card?
No.
We don't trust that system.
So he gets this job working for the Glasgow Underground.
How far into this episode are we?
14 minutes.
That sucks. I'm really sorry for you, the listener.
We trimmed some of that.
Yeah.
The Glasgow Underground hires him.
When you say that means they know we made jokes that we had to cut out.
No, that just means that we know that we took a break for some reason. There's a lot of reasons we could have took a break.
Speaking of breaks, here's a commercial break. Before we get to
Put a note of that.
Please don't. In the early days of this show, we did like affiliate ads where we were like, hey, sign up for Grammarly and use code TILLN, and we got like 15 cents. And now we just do Patreon. It's a much better way. It's better for us as creators. It's better for you as listeners. And it's a much more fun way for us to interact. We do monthly hangouts like on Zoom. We just hang out and play games online and get to know each other. It's a really fun time. So, but still use our code TILLN at Grammarly.com because I think it's still active.
It is still
we
active.
might get like a couple cents from that.
Yeah.
But join us on Patreon because we're having a great time.
Yeah. If you don't, we're going to have to start doing mobile game ads. Okay, so the Glasgow Underground hires him to help with like lighting all of the carriages underground, which I'm now realizing they use the word carriages in this Wikipedia article here, and my brain was just like, oh, they're from Scotland, and so they just call the trains carriages. But now I'm realizing it's 1880s, and so maybe they actually are carriages in the underground. They just dug tunnels for the carriages.
Trains.
How old are trains?
Trains were, they had trains.
How old are subways is a better question.
Okay, yeah, we'll Google that. I don't know about I'm only interested in the stuff I can see above ground. I don't like those worm trains.
I have to search subway, like train subways. Because
I don't like those subterranean trains.
Oh, is that where they got the name? Subterranean way? Interesting. Oh, yeah, I guess.
Did you just now put that together?
Yeah, I did actually.
That sub is underneath? Yeah.
The first one was proposed in London.
Subway?
Yeah, in 1843. It was an underground railroad. Wow.
Yeah, trains are old, dude.
I knew trains were old, but I just assumed that back then they were all like steam and stuff, so I don't think you could put those underground. Like,
when was
ventilation.
The first train?
When was the first train? First train was steam powered in 1804.
Pretty wild.
Wow. Gosh. That's how I know aliens are real.
Okay.
So he gets hired to light the carriages, which I'm returning back to. This was what they called the train cars, the carriages, because they were really dim underground. They didn't have sunlight, and so he gets hired to try to help light them.
Yeah.
And so he's making like special light bulbs that like would work in there without being too hot and stuff like that, and could actually run in the trains. And so he's like a little engineering project, and it goes over really, really well. And so because of that, the Glasgow Underground connects him with the London Underground. And they're like, hey, this guy helped us figure out how to make it not so dark in here. And they're like, oh my gosh, it's pretty dark in ours too. Can you send him over here and see if he can figure out how to make it not so dark in ours also?
Sure.
And here's the thing, he's done it once already. So he just shows up and does the same thing. And it works great. And they're like, oh my gosh, this guy knows how to make things not dark anymore.
Yeah.
And so a part of that project, one of the guys he worked with was a guy by the name of Evelyn Crompton, who I'm realizing now I probably should have a picture of Evelyn Crompton, so I'm going to pull one real quick. And honestly, I'm going to be 100% honest. What you think in your brain before seeing a picture of Evelyn Crompton is right. That's who Evelyn Crompton is. Here he is.
Okay, hold on. Fat man.
Not fat.
Oh! I was a little off, but like I had the glasses right. Tiny little glasses, weird mustache, old guy in a 3-piece suit.
Oh yeah. He owned the company. You're going to be surprised by the name of this, Crompton and Co.
Nice.
That
was back when you could just do it, you know?
Yeah.
Now people got to come up with all these creative names and stuff.
Trendy. Yeah. Ugh. Uber. What is that?
Solar flare.
What is that? I don't even know what that is.
Space time.
And so Crompton owns this company.
This podcast is just called Myers and Friend.
Friend. Crompton owns this company. This company is a manufacturing and electrical company, and he's really impressed by Alan's work.
Sure.
And so they kind of hit it off, and they become like friends. I would say friends. They go out for drinks a bunch, and like they're like talking about engineering stuff. I don't know what you did back then, and how people connected before football, but that's what they did. And they would go out for drinks, do whatever. One night, they go out.
Where is it?
This is, I mean, I don't have the exact year, but I would ballpark figure like the mid 1890s, something like that. They go out for drinks one night.
Sure.
And drink a lot of whiskey. They go back to Crompton's place and they're hanging out. And he's kind of talking through with Crompton about the original Glasgow line project. And it's like, yeah, I was working with the filaments. And he's like, originally, I was trying to figure out how to make it cheaper. So I was using some cheaper metals to make it. But those filaments got so dang hot. And that he's like, it wouldn't work. It would start a fire. And he cracks a joke in this conversation with Crompton. And he said it was so hot, the bread in my room started to burn and like across the room. And it was just like a joke that he cracked. And Crompton was like, that's an interesting thought. And he's like, are you serious? And it's kind of like, you know, in Christmas Vacation and I'm going to be honest, I don't even remember the context. Oh, he's reading The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
And the uncle is like, are you serious, Clark? You know what I'm talking about?
Okay.
You know the scene.
Are you serious, Clark?
You know the scene I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing. He's like, wait, are you serious about that? Like, that's kind of cool. And so they get together and they get that metal and they start experimenting with toasting bread with this metal.
Okay.
And the two of them work together and they perfect the world's first toaster. And so this is a rendition of what it looked like. It was pretty much, imagine what a toaster looks like if you take the shell off the toaster.
Yeah, which I did.
That's what this is. And so honestly, hilarious that you bought a toaster today. I walked in and I saw that and I was like, gosh, we live in a simulation.
Oh yeah.
Like this is insane. But this was a big development because before this, toasters were these. They were literal trays that you just
put over a fire.
Yeah.
Or like in the,
Yeah, you just shoved your loaves in and you held them over a fire and they toasted them.
Shoved your loaves in. Yeah, it was this thing that you just shoved your loaves in. It was you doing it in a deadpan. I shoved the loaf in. And then I projectile vomited. That was me making a callback to a different episode. You just shoved your loaves in and then put them in the fire.
So he came back to Crompton and he was like, look what I made. And Crompton's like, this is legit. And
Crompton's like, I'll toast to that.
Yeah. Hey, there you go. Is there a fly in here?
No.
Okay. And so they took it to market. Crompton's business started selling it as the
Before
Eclipse.
we started recording, I let 300 gnats loose in this apartment. He has no idea.
He's deadly allergic to gnats.
What if I just started doing asides to my camera as if you couldn't hear me? Like just diary room things? Or I just go, can you believe this right now? Back to it.
Okay, so they started selling it. They named it the Eclipse, which is way cooler than
toaster. Yeah.
They started selling it as Eclipse. And it was the heating element on a ceramic base, which I showed you the picture of, and it just plugged into a regular lamp socket.
It's wild that we used to just be able to sell stuff that was like, hey, you can really burn yourself on this.
Well, by 1894, so this must have been early 1890s when this meeting was. But by 1894, this toaster became the center of some pretty major controversy because it was the cause of the first ever recorded appliance fire in history. Because one of those things melted and it caught a lady's table on fire and actually killed her, and she got trapped in her house. And this fire was like huge news. The organization was asked for comment, and so MacMasters and Crompton together, like, they gave this comment to the paper and
said user error.
They blamed the woman.
Yeah, of course.
And they said that it's her fault for not holding appropriate respect for the power of the electric toaster.
It's not our fault her man wasn't around.
The direct quote kills me. It's her fault for not holding appropriate respect for the power of the electric toaster. What a crazy thing to say when it's like, hey, what do you think about this woman who died in this fire this week?
Even the number of car accidents. Well, when you're not respecting the power
of the Ram 1500,
all new Ford Tough.
I mean,
F-150.
It's your fault, really, if you think about it.
Well, that's her fault for not respecting the terms and conditions she accepted
when she downloaded Disney Plus.
So, Crompton Plus.
So MacMasters went on to also invent the electric kettle and a handful of other like electronic devices.
Okay.
Here's the thing.
And it plugged into an outlet?
Yeah, just plugged into a regular outlet.
When did they do outlets?
Around the same time, I guess. It was said a lamp outlet. So my guess is they had outlets specifically for lamps before everything else started just using electricity. Yeah. Is my guess.
You think we're going to get to a point where there's no outlets and we're just USB-C and everything? Or USB-ing? Not USB anymore, USB-C.
I mean, I think there's going to...
Or do you think we'll just get to a point where everything's nuclear?
Could be. I mean, I think there could be a point where there's... Lamp. I think there could be a point...
Instead of lava, it's just a little nuclear blob in there.
I do see a potential world. I don't see USB-C. They would have to come up with a new USB because there's not enough power going through to power a lot of the appliances and stuff we have.
Right.
So there would have to be a new thing.
There wasn't enough power in the USB. There is. In the USB-C, it's pretty powerful.
For like a toaster or like a microwave or TV.
Or,
I don't know.
Or a blender. Or an air fryer. Or a electric piano.
Or a soda stream.
Or a espresso machine. Or a refrigerator.
Okay, well, I'm done with this bit. But I could see a
space heater.
I could see a possible world where...
Air purifier.
Stop it. I could see a possible world where there's like...
Inflatable hot tub.
Jeez.
Tim doesn't like when I do bits.
I don't like it when you do dumb bits.
A lot of times Tim doesn't like when I do bits because it interrupts the flow of the episode and he's trying to get the information out.
So what I see
I was talking
I know I picked up on the bit.
When I went shush. You picked up on it when I shushed you. There's a podcast review. I don't know. Have we talked about it? There's a podcast review where someone said, "Love the show, been listening for a long time." Jaron's become a big jerk, and he really makes fun of Tim a lot. And it's actually like I forget what the words are, but it's like, wow, Jaron lately has been.
I think
really
it says you're an
Tim.
incessant jerk.
Yeah, Jaron being an incessant, and I'm like, I don't think you were a big fan of the show to begin with because this has been from episode 1.
This is not normal.
I didn't start. I wasn't just like I haven't been getting meaner to Tim.
Yeah, he's
just been getting more sensitive about it.
This has been our friendship,
and that's because he didn't realize he didn't harness the power of my humor correctly.
No, what I'm trying to say, what I see more likely is I see a possible world where our walls, within the walls, there's just power banks. So you could just put things close to the wall and it would charge.
That feels
wireless
like
charging.
Fry our brains.
It could.
Okay.
But we don't care. We've never cared about that before.
You think I'm just gonna
I don't think it'll stick. I think you can just set it on the dresser next to it. It's close enough to get the juice. That's my premonition.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And you'd have it on all four walls, so that way it'd be beams of energy hitting your brain from all four sides.
Saying. Yeah. I don't know if that's going to be good for us. We're going to microwave our brain cells.
When have we ever cared?
That's true.
So Alan dies in 1926.
Alan MacMasters?
Yeah, Alan dies in 1926.
So he dies in his 60s?
Yeah,
50s?
he dies relatively young. And he kind of he got to be a part of all this stuff and he got credit for it, but it wasn't like it was a big deal. Like no one really cared that he made the toaster. Like it really was like Crompton made the toaster was kind of the thing until somewhere in the early 2010s, like 2012, 2010, something like that. A Scottish tabloid picks up the story and they list off. It's a article called Made in the UK, the life-changing everyday innovations which put British genius on the map. And so they highlight all these Scottish and British innovations and technology that came out of that side of the world. And the toaster is on the list. And for some reason, and it's a very small, there's 3 paragraphs. It's just a picture of the toaster. And it's like Alan MacMaster brought us the toaster. And then for some reason, throughout the rest of the 2010s, Alan MacMasters, specifically in Scotland, gets a ton of attention. And everybody starts to really, really love him. And he becomes like a figure in schools that kids they have like assignments where they're doing like reports on his technology. And they have artworks that they're supposed to do of him. And he was featured in TV shows a lot, like the Great British Bake Off. They had an episode where it was like one of the bakers devoted their bake.
I want to dedicate this cake to Alan MacMasters.
Yeah, and it was like themed off
for giving
toasters.
us the toaster.
Yeah, themed on toasters and stuff like that. And so he became like...
This is actually a working cake where you can push this down and 2 pieces go into it and then they come out.
And then they pop out. Yeah, it's different. And then it hit a fever pitch in 2018. There was this ballot they were changing the face on the $50 bill in Scotland. And Alan MacMasters was one of the candidates. He didn't win, but he was one of the candidates to put his image on the $50 bill.
Was this all a bit?
And so it was just this huge ordeal in the 2010s. Like there was a huge deal that
Reddit made this person up.
But here's the thing. This is Alan MacMasters.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. That's a good bit.
So Alan MacMasters, if you're not watching, this is a picture of honestly a pretty typical Reddit user. It's a dude with a sick shirt.
That's made out of just handkerchiefs.
And his pants too. I mean, great outfit, honestly. Great fit.
Styles there.
Yeah, cool hair. Very thin. Alan MacMasters.
Super fit.
Not fit, thin.
Those boys were super fit. So hot. All right, dude.
Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. If you like it, there is some great news for you. We have a mailing list. In that mailing list, we give updates on past episodes. So things in the news, things that happen for episodes. We've got over 200 episodes we've done. And every week, things are changing. New updates are coming out. And we're keeping you up to date on what's happening in the happenings of TILLN Topics. So if you want to keep learning stuff, even beyond the content of the episodes, that's a great place to do it. Also, we give updates on things that's happening in the TILLN verse. I like that. I've never said TILLN verse before, but I'm sticking with it. If you want to know what's happening in the TILLN verse, that's the best place to do it. You can go to TILLN.com. There's a link in the description, or you can text TILLN to 66866. There's a lot of ways to sign up for the mailing list to make sure you keep up to date with everything that we've talked about and everything that's going on in the TILLN verse. But anyways, now back to this episode. So the real Alan MacMasters was a aerospace engineering student at University of Surrey. And in February of 2012, him and his friend Alex were in class, and the professor was going through research methods. And in that class, the professor mentions that you don't want to use Wikipedia for your research, like every professor always does. And he, as an example, pulls up the Wikipedia page for the toaster and shows that the Wikipedia page for the toaster has one of the professors from the university as the inventor of the toaster. Like they changed it and they put his name in that for like the bit to be able to do this every year and say, look, this is one of our professors. Obviously, he didn't invent the toaster in 1902 because he's still here.
Yeah.
And all the students were like, well, how do we know?
Right. This is really just them doing an elaborate cover-up of a vampire on staff at this university. And like, clearly he didn't invent the toaster in 1902 because he's still alive to teach this class.
So later that night, Alan and his friend Alex are kind of talking about it. They pull up the article and they look at it. And Alex is like, hey, what if we made you the inventor of the toaster? And they're like, yeah, that's funny, whatever. So they do it. They make the change.
So, wow, really funny dudes here because they went to class. The professor's like, look at this funny thing we did. And then they went back to the dorm and like, what if we did the exact same thing? What if we just took his bit?
Well, they took it, and I should say, so they did it and then
went further.
Well, a year later, they noticed that it was still there. No one ever caught it. No one ever changed it. So Alex was like, hey, Alan, I think we could level this up. And so Alex commissions a friend to take this photo of him. And so he does up his hair in what he assumes is an old school hairstyle. They Photoshop in sideburns. And then he didn't have any clothes that he felt looked like fit that era. Off. So they made it look like they tore it. So that tear is a fake tear that they photoshopped in.
Yeah, obviously, to me.
And they acted like it was a tore picture that they like scanned in.
Oh, okay.
Was the idea that they were trying to do. And then they...
That's him?
That's Alex. That's the friend Alex.
Oh, this is the friend Alex.
This is Alan.
I was going to say, they're not the same.
Yeah, but yeah, this is the other friend Alex they used for the picture. And so... they then create an actual page and they create this whole backstory, but they did a really good job with it because all these people and all these companies and places are real and the time frames that they're connecting them to are real time frames. So they did their research on the toaster, but they just changed Alan MacMasters.
Are you doing your, oh man, we're so glad you're home for Christmas break, son. Tell us about school this semester. Oh, I mean, I've been up to my eyeballs at work. Oh my gosh. I've been doing this research project on. You ever heard of the underground? You know what I'm talking about?
You know what I'm talking about?
And no,
with like the trains and stuff.
The other one, and yeah, I've just been researching this a lot. I mean, like I can't go to sleep right now. I've got to read up about Evelyn some more. You want to respond to your text?
Oh, no, it was a DoorDash.
Did you ring?
I didn't DoorDash here. I DoorDashed for my wife at home.
Is she at home?
She's getting home in a couple minutes from work.
And you were like,
DoorDashed her dinner, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
What'd you do?
What?
Why are you guys fighting that you had to make up for it with a DoorDash?
I didn't cook dinner, so there's no leftovers. She has nothing to eat tonight.
But you did cook her eggs this week, right?
I did cook breakfast. I meal prepped her breakfast. I didn't meal prep her dinner.
Yeah. Good for you, pal.
Yeah, so that's exactly what happened. They built this
I need
whole...
to DoorDash my wife something.
They built this whole backstory for him. And they connected it to real people and real events. But they made up that story of it getting invented. They made up the story of the first fire thing and their response to the first fire. Like none of that stuff actually happened.
I'm going to DoorDash your wife something. I'm going to send her another dinner.
Get out of here.
Your address is in my DoorDash.
Yeah, you're gonna send her a better dinner.
Yeah. and then when you get home, she's like, I got 2 dinners. And you're like, which one did you eat?
That's pretty good.
Pretty fun bit.
So
that's a bit that we should do in the show, not your Heimlich bit.
Yeah, what do you think this sign is? I wish I had another sign ready to go. I wish we could put
this in the $50 bill.
Yeah, so they put this whole Wikipedia article out.
Yeah.
And in 2014, it does get picked up by that tabloid sees it, doesn't fact check it. They pick it up and they make that article, and then it just kind of goes wild. For the next 10 years, they're featured in news where like news, you know how
but you gotta fan the flames in that stuff. You know, you gotta be like, you gotta get on Reddit and be like, do you see this article?
They did not do anything. They just put up this Wikipedia article, and that was it. That was the whole bit. And then
how'd they get caught then?
So this becomes a real thing. And so like all that stuff about like the schools having like recognizing him, and there was the school district had like a day that recognized him at the schools. He actually did get nominated to be on the $50 bill. The British Bake Off thing actually happened. This actually did get featured too, like in real print encyclopedias printed that he was the inventor of the toaster. And so this started running. And Alan, the actual Alan, he said the moment when I realized that, oh, maybe this was a problem was he was years later out of college. He was reading a book, like an actual book. And then and it was a book on Victorian era inventors. And Alan MacMasters was listed in there as a Victorian era inventor of the toaster. And he's like, oh, maybe this was a mistake. And so, but they kept it to themselves. The page was up until 2022.
I would have taken that to the grave, to be honest.
Oh yeah, and I think that was their plan. But in 2022, there was a 15-year-old Redditor named Adam, which is eerie that the characters in this
Adam,
are Alan, Alex, and Adam. And so
that was
Adam,
a really fun thing we just did.
Yeah.
Where we just said them different, but we said Alex at the same time.
Yeah.
That was pretty weird. Let's try it again.
Yeah, okay.
Alex.
Adam.
See, I messed it up that time. Dang.
So he was in class.
Now let's say who we voted for.
So he was in class in 2022. He was at school.
Clay Aiken. And I'm still bitter
America's
about it.
votes. He was in class, and it was the same thing. He's in high school. His teacher is talking about the great inventor of the toaster.
No, he didn't. I didn't.
No, he shows them that, and he shows them the Wikipedia page, and he sees that picture, and this kid is immediately like, I don't think that picture's real. He's like, that looks like Photoshop. And it's 2022. And so this kid at 15 years old looks at that. He goes home that night and he downloads it and he looks at the metadata and he sees that it was made in Photoshop. And he's like, I think this is fake. So he goes to Reddit. There's a Reddit community.
I think
Reddit,
this is fake.
There's a subreddit called Wikipedia Vandalism, which is hilarious. But it's like people who are looking for vandals of Wikipedia.
Sure.
And he uploads that picture and he says, hey, this is a fake image that I found on this Wikipedia page. This subreddit digs deeper. They end up uncovering that the whole thing was fake. So the page gets flagged for deletion, and then Alex's Wikipedia account ends up getting banned from Wikipedia, and they mark it that it was the whole thing was a big old hoax. So that's how it got uncovered. Was this kid? This kid didn't know the whole thing was fake. He thought it was just
that picture.
Just that picture. And so Alan, the real Alan, this Alan,
yes,
he has a new secret Wikipedia account that he now contributes to, but like seriously. And he's like, that's my like apology. He's like, I don't want anyone to know what the account is because I don't want to get banned. And he's like, but as an apology, I'm like contributing to Wikipedia now.
I keep changing.
I keep changing stuff because I like it.
This was actually a really wild ride.
Because I actually really love it. But yeah, for years and in multiple print publications and encyclopedias, Alan MacMasters is the inventor of the toaster, but that wasn't true. The real inventor of the toaster, we don't know for sure. It looks like it was a handful of different companies that worked together and did different parts of that development. But Crompton was one of them. Crompton was involved in the process, and he did make one of the early versions of the toaster. One of my favorite parts about the toaster, one of my favorite parts about the Wikipedia page for toasters is that at the very bottom of the page, they have related products, is what it says.
Oh.
So things similar to toasters. And
Air fryers.
there's only one item, and it's the hot dog toaster, which I love so much. Have you ever seen these?
I have, and you know what is weird about it to me? Where does the juice from the hot dog go?
Oh, it probably just drains, just like Just like the crumb, they have the crumb catcher. They probably have
but
a
now
separate
it's
drain.
soggy for your hot dog juice.
No, I bet there's a crumb catcher, and then I bet there's a trough
You know
that
what?
drains underneath.
I know what I'm doing. Yeah, I toast my hot dogs, and then and then the best part is when you get to open the thing and just take a quick shot of the hot dog juice. That's the best part. The best part about using the hot dog toaster
shot.
is the little shot at the end. The what? The shot at
the end. I don't know what you're talking about. It's my favorite part. But yeah, I love this. Whoever thought of this, great person. Little hot dog shaped holes in the middle, little bun shaped holes on the outside. You make 2 of them. Genius idea. Honestly, I don't know why I don't have
If I ever come to someone's house and they have a hot dog toaster on the counter,
and like readily accessible.
yeah,
like right there.
Where it's like that's not put away somewhere. That's something you didn't even get as a gag gift. You have it on your counter, and it like looks used. You know what I'm talking about? Like it looks like it's been used a couple times.
Yes, yeah.
That's a lot of judgment.
Yeah, that you look in the juice trough and it's full. You're like, you're not even taking the shooters out of this.
It literally it gives me a lump in my throat.
I felt that too.
Gross.
No, but this is a textbook example of circular reporting where this came out of one source and then one source along the line didn't fact check it, just reported it as a fact. Everybody used that one other document as a source, and eventually it just kind of got out of control.
Right.
And it does make you wonder how many examples of those are out there where somewhere along the line, someone didn't do their work to actually criticize the source that they got their information from,
right?
And then repeated it, and then now it's just something that's in the zeitgeist. Because really, in Scotland, for about 10 years, everyone was just like, "Yeah, Alan MacMasters invented the toaster, and he's really important to our lives, and we want him on the $50 bill." Which is crazy. There's another really popular example of this right now, circular reporting on TikTok. I don't know if you've seen this.
No.
Speaking of November 5th, no, it does not relate to that at all. Have you seen these reports that there's an alien armada coming for the United States of America, and the James Webb Space Telescope spotted them, and NASA's reporting it? Have you seen those on TikTok, those videos? We have similar.
These are the moments that our episodes take some weird turns. Stick with us, and I promise you, it'll get better.
We have similar algorithms, right? Do you not get those videos?
No.
It's a really big thing right now. A lot of people on TikTok are saying, "Oh my gosh, NASA." They're saying
reporting on it.
NASA just said that the James Webb Space Telescope saw a armada coming towards Earth.
Did NASA say
coming
that?
towards Earth? No.
Who said that?
I don't know who originally said that, but my guess is, what it looks like is that whoever originally said this took and jumbled together a James Webb Space Telescope report with the old Oumuamua. Remember that?
Yes.
And they put that together to be like, James Webb Space Telescope saw Oumuamua and they don't know what it is, and it's probably aliens. And then this just has catapulted. And now I'm not exaggerating. Probably once a day I see a video where people are like responding, and it's like that video where
it's like and share the video. You're like, it's interesting perspective. Look at that.
It's an interesting perspective. No, where it's like those ones where it's like the green screen where it's like the face, and then behind it is like them reacting to another TikTok, and they're like I see that almost every day.
Yeah, it's just
almost
high quality, just very value giving content on the internet.
Yeah, and it's like the 4th or 5th TikTok down the line.
We're gonna start promoting our podcast just like that.
That's hilarious. Actually. That's really funny.
Like it's you over clips of you, and you're just like, we gotta take a couple seconds for this to hold on. Like,
and then just cut to another shot and be like, I've been saying this for a while. It's great to see someone else.
I've been saying this for a while. Make sure you hit the follow button.
But yeah,
I mean, this is a great example of why we should always check your sources. Yeah. And if you're like sitting here like watching this and you're like, well, how do I make sure I have the right information? That's why we have Infowars.com.
And if you support us on Patreon, maybe we can buy Infowars.com.
And if you support us on Patreon, we can take down the people who are trying to, I got to pay all my legal fees because I lied about those families.
Do you think the domain's for sale on the bankruptcy auction? It won't be cheap.
But it'll be worth it.
It'll be the best thing I ever buy. So circular reporting is a dangerous thing.
Sure.
We need to be careful about it. And so that's why this podcast has firmly committed to only reporting off stuff we find on Wikipedia. So we're glad that you're checking this out. Who knows how much we've talked about that is just made up from Wikipedia. It's possible. But we don't check our sources.
We don't have time to check our sources.
Yeah. So here's the interesting thing. The story goes, if you read the initial report of that night where they were whiskeyed up, and they started working on this original toaster.
Yeah.
They were having a hard time with powering the toaster because like they only had lamp outlets, and that did not give enough power to burn toast.
Right.
And so they held they drew a pentagram on the ground, and they said, Satan, we don't know what to do. We're having a problem. We can't figure out how to turn on this toaster.
They called on the dark power of Satan.
Yeah, they said we can't figure out how to power this toaster. And
like,
Satan said,
dude, and that's actually a little known fact is that the heat that burns your toast is the fires of hell.
Satan said to Alan, he said, hey, Alan, here's the deal. He said, you beat me in a duel, and I'll tell you the secret to getting this toaster
So
to
they
work.
had to fiddle off. Hey, thanks for checking out this episode of Things I Learned Last Night. If you like this and you want more of it, we got a whole back catalog, like 200-something episodes you can go listen to. One of those was the story of Frank Abagnale from the movie Catch Me If You Can. You know, Leonardo DiCaprio, our friend Thomas Hanks was in that movie. But what you might not know, what I didn't know when we recorded the episode, is that the entire story is a lie. Just things that we just all believed because there was a movie about it. And we were like, oh yeah, that's true. We did the same thing. Turns out it was all made up, not to give away the ending. But that episode is linked somewhere. You can go watch that, hear the crazy stories, and then hear how Frank Abagnale Jr. actually made a living off of his lies. And so again, next week's episode is available right now. You don't have to wait for it. You can check that out on Patreon. That just helps us fund the show. We don't make any money off this. That just helps us create more of this and to put out episodes regularly. We really love doing this, and we really love that you were here for this one. So we'll see you next week. We will never stop doing this show. I promise you. If this show stops, I'm dead. Which that'll be really eerie to watch one day. Thanks for being here for Things I Learned Last Night. This episode was produced by Alan MacMasters. It was edited by his friend Alex. It was sound engineered by a 15-year-old kid named Adam.